Coco Pommel, Octavia Melody, A True Love by Switch Down. After me looking after Rarity's secondary store in Manhattan, Coco Pommel has been feeling proud to helping her friend after she quit to be Suri's assistant. But during the most time around spring and summer is the most busiest time for the store. It has the most selling of the dresses, skirts, and even suits for most of the famous ponies. And one day, Rarity had informed both Sassy Saddle and Coco Pommel that she is going to have one of the biggest clients and that she needs all help she can have in order to selling and even produce this new design of clothing. Coco Pommel had to order a lot of more fabrics and even hire in some more ponies to help her because there was only her and three more. And she had to hire at least another 5 more ponies because it was an urgent order. This order was actually after this recent fashion show in Canterlot. It was the biggest order that Rarity had ever got so far, and that she needed all help she needed. And Coco had to spend most of the time, even spend overtime at the boutique to getting orders ready. It took her maybe 5 to almost 8 hours to make like from 4 to almost 10 dresses and suits. And she was so tired so that she had to close the store maybe 4 hours after it was usually supposed to be closed. Even when during the time when it was almost finished with this entire order, Coco has almost getting a nervous breakdown because it's stressful how to make these dresses. Rarity informed all the others that Canterlot has been finished. Rarity has finished her part of the order, but Coco was the only bonus who still had us left behind. She was still far behind of the dresses. She needed to do at least 5 more dresses and at least 6 more suits. And most of the opponents that she had hired had already made half of the entire order they had left behind. And after they were finished, Coco was so tired. She informed Rarity that she won't be able to go to the store for the next several days. She needed all the rest she can because she had literally to spend almost 12 to 18 hours awake an entire night. And she got most of her time 3 to maybe 4 hours of sleep. But the max she had perhaps was 2 to 3 hours. And her doctor has told her she needed to cut down the work hours and more sleep. She told the doctor if that can wait after this order was finished. But the doctor said if she doesn't do it, she might have a nervous breakdown or even worse, a panic attack, and that she could be hospitalized for months afterwards. She knew the risk, but she decided to take the risk for it. And after that she was finished, she actually went back home and didn't return to work for about a whole month. She was so tired. The nervous breakdown had finally brought to its end, and she couldn't barely even walk out on her own room in her apartment. She was so tired, she barely had any sleep at all. She went to the doctors to see if she could have some help, some treatment, or any sleeping pills, just so that she could go back to normal sleeping rhythm again. And she did. The doctor described her a sleeping pill, so that she gets at least 8 to 10 hours of sleep per night. It took her about a few weeks before that she was fully recovered from her nervous breakdown, but the doctor told her, rest them for a few more days before going back to work. Verity had informed Coco that she had not to worry, since the ponies that she had hired earlier had still was working there and taking care of it. When she was come back, everything was just as normal, and she was now hoping for not another big order for a long time for now. Unfortunately, Verity got another order, but this time it was from Saddle Arabia, that she needed to have to make at least 2 dozen of dresses of the same design. And this time, Coco said no, she couldn't do it. And Rarity asked why, and she informed her that she can't do it because she had just have been received of a message from the doctor that she has to take it easy for now. If she had another stressful event that can lead to another stress to nervous breakdown or a panic attack, it could harm her health. Rarity thought about that and said that she couldn't, then decided to let Coco to go. Not that she didn't fire her, but she decided to let her to be the supervisor of the other ponies that Rarity had hired for her. She had hired at least another 5 more ponies to help her. So now there was 10 ponies in the store in Manhattan, and now the supervisor was actually Coco, and only that she had to make sure that they all was doing the right thing, the right part, and that the order was scheduled in time. And after nearly about a week or two, then that order was finished and sent to Saudi Arabia, and Verity got paid, and she paid Coco Pommel and her other workers for their involvement. But this time, Coco had finished all her work, and she decided to take a vacation from all this. And Verity, as she was, she allowed her to take a break from her work. So Coco actually went to Ponyville to be with some time with Verity, because Verity had no other big orders for at least several months or perhaps a year in advance. So Verity and Coco decided to spend some time since there had been several months, almost a year since they spent time with each other. They are very good friends, and they spend a lot of time just talking about fashion, and fashion. And of course, Rarity had asked if she had found her special song pony yet, or at least interested song pony. Coco didn't say much. She just blushed and nodded. And Rarity asked who this particular pony could be, but Coco didn't want to say it because she didn't feel ready. Even though that Rarity wanted to have more details about who this particular pony is and how this stallion could be, but all the things that she said, it's not a stallion. That was the only thing that Coco was willing to say, and that ignited even Rarity's fantasy or even curiosity even more. She tried to get more details from Coco, but she didn't want to tell any more other details, except that it was another stallion. She tried to ask if this is a famous pony, or if it's an old friend of her. She said it is not as much as a friend, but she knows her quite well, and they have been meeting each other from time to time when she is traveling. That was also the things that she knows now. It's not a stallion, that it is a mare, in that she travels a lot. And that she has been seeing her several times, but it has not been on a date yet. So Rarity decided to try to figure out who this particular mare could be, but then the question also, since Maid Haddon has a large population and that this particular pony travels a lot, so that means she's not native to Maid Haddon, that she could be from anywhere. At that number of mares, it is millions of them. So she had no idea. Even if she tried to had some pony falling around Coco, it would against her code of honor and also would harm her trust in Coco. So Coco actually spent time with Rarity in town. But there happens that she saw another particular pony just sometimes in a parlor or either in a cafe, and it turns out to be not other than Octavia Melody. It turns out Octavia was actually the pony that Coco has been interested in. And it also turns out Coco and Octavia have been secretly dating for the past 3 years. And they hadn't even told any pony, not even their friends or family. This was because they wanted to have to keep this a secret as long as possible. And Rarity saw that they were spending some time together, but she knows that they know each other for some time. But it didn't take much long time for Rarity to almost figure out what if it was actually Octavia could be the particular special zone pony that Coco has been interested in. But they didn't speak much of it. They didn't spend so much time when they were in Ponyville because Octavia had other things to do mostly. Most of the time she practiced or even wasn't in concert, otherwise in Canterlot or in other major cities. So she thought maybe that could be Octavia. So after her time was over in Ponyville, she actually went back to Maid Haddon. Coco was now really relaxed and has been full rested and decided to go back to work. It didn't take much time before Rarity went to Maid Haddon to see how the business is going there, even though that Coco had informed her it was just going so well. But what she didn't expect to see was actually Coco and Octavia in a restaurant. It was during around lunchtime, and they were just having lunch. But from what Rarity saw, it was almost like romantic environment around them. Then she suddenly saw they was leaning against each other and kissed. That was the true evidence. She quickly hides away so that Coco couldn't see her. And after she got back to work, Rarity went there just pretending that's normally. Then she takes her to her office so they can just talk about how to make this profit of the next season, like of the winter fashion designs, and so make some alterations. And then she mentioned that she saw Coco at the restaurant, and Coco was surprised and mostly shocked. She was hoping that Rarity couldn't see that she kissed her own girlfriend. But it turns out Rarity has seen it. But she promised not to tell any pony about it, and Coco felt relaxed. But it didn't take much time. For about a month later, it came out in the public that Octavia had a secret admirer or a secret partner. But then it turns out ponies started believing it was Vinyl, her roommate. But Vinyl had always declined that is not the truth, that they are just roommates, they're just friends. But that is the same excuse that many have said before, that they are just friends, but it turns out they are in a relationship. But Vinyl was actually not together with Octavia. She was actually being together with Neon Lights, one of the other big DJs from Canterlot. And soon it also realized when Octavia and Coco were singing together more often, either in Ponyville or in Canterlot or Manhattan, Pony started to figure out that they are a couple. But it didn't think much about it. Ponies thought they could be a couple, but they didn't do anything romantic. They just walked around each other, talking, shared the same interests about the fashion, music, but they didn't speak anything about romantic things. They just talk about normal. Because in public, they try to act as friends. And when we're alone, then they start to acting more romantic. So ponies didn't pay much attention about that. After a few weeks, it was all forgotten. But then, one journalist in from Manhattan found evidence of one thing that came to light, and also brought a lot of loose ends into one solution. Octavia wasn't single. She was actually married. When this came out, it devastated both Coco and Octavia. It turns out they have been secretly married for the past year. Coco didn't want to have this to be revealed as much so soon. She had hoped for at least another number of years, and Rarity. She asked Coco if this information was even correct or just some false rumors, but Coco didn't deny it. She explained it was actually true. It turns out Coco had actually asked Octavia to marry her, and they actually got married in a secret location, only invited vinyl, neon lights, and only did it their parents. And even vinyl could confirm that all of that was actually the truth. It didn't take much long time after when Pony started asking if they had any family together of their own. But both said no, and that was the truth. Since Octavia moved around as much, traveled a lot, but then the question that many opponents ask, if they are married, why is that Coco lives in Manhattan and Octavia lives in Poland? Why not then they live together now since this came out as in the public? At first they didn't want to make this as obvious, but now that since the information came out, Octavia decided to move to Manhattan to be with her wife. And people were actually happy that even though now this information came out, they're not mad or any pony, but they're just happy to at least sharing the information, their part of their relationship to others. It did actually take about 2 months after this, all of this came out, but they actually finally adopted two daughters from an orphanage in Manhattan. They were actually now happy to have a family, even though Octavia travels a lot, but they're still happy to be a family. And that's how Coco Pommel and Octavia Melody from the True Love got a family. The end.